Hey everybody, my name is Kathy Chan. I'm a media production specialist here at PALCS and a producer of the Winging It podcast here with.
Hey, I'm Brendan.
And this
Is
is
winging
Winging
it.
It.
So I went to private school for most of my school career, throughout middle school and then early high school, um, and just really never fit in anywhere. I had a really hard time socializing, making friends. That system I don't think was really for people like me. Um, and again, I had a blend. I've always been interested in STEM. I mean, at my old schools, I was part of the robotics club there and whatnot. But I also had an interest in music, particularly. So I was always a part of band and programs like that. And so during my junior year, things kind of came to a breaking point where I was like, this is just not working for me. Like, I don't feel like I'm learning anything. I'm really not making friends. I need something new. And my neighbor actually was Mrs. Ware, who used to be a dance teacher at CPFA, and she recommended PALCS first and foremost to kind of just round out junior year, but then was like, "You like music? Why not try out for this performing arts program?" And go from there. I mean, she talked about how great of a community it was, and I figured, well, I might as well give it a shot. So that during the middle of junior year, I got into PALCS, I got started. So the system worked great for me. Cyber school was a much better system for a person like me. Kind of going at my own pace was something brand new, and I loved it. Uh, and then during the tryout for CPFA was when I realized, like, hey, I actually really want to be a part of this. Like the building, like the small building, the tight knit community. I even loved in the tryout, like the teachers make you go through everything. You do a little bit of fine art, you do a little bit of dance, you do music, and you do some acting, even if you're not comfortable with it. All they care about is if you try and like make an effort to enjoy it and learn something. Um, and so I really bonded with Mr. West while I was trying out, the music teacher there. And a couple weeks later, I heard back that I had gotten in, and so senior year, I was able to do PALCS for regular schooling and CPFA Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it was just such a better structure for me. I really wish I had found it sooner, but I'm very grateful that I managed to have it for a year.
I know sometimes when you transfer to a new school, especially as came in as a junior, as a senior, how was that like adjusting? Do you remember?
Probably the easiest I had ever experienced. At the beginning of the year, they threw these picnics that they would basically just let all the new students kind of conglomerate, meet each other, the families meet each other, and whatever. And from that first moment, my mentor Grace, who was on the episode previously, she like ran over, like immediately noticed it was me, like said hi, like big hug, immediately started introducing me to everybody, started talking to me about like why I was there, what I was doing, what I was into, and then also made an effort to introduce me to the other new students.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've never had that before, where another student makes the effort to welcome you. Usually you're kind of left to fend for yourself, but
Yeah.
like, from that moment I was like, this is crazy. Like this is this is something I've never experienced before.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the weeks went on, like I kind of settled in with two friend groups. I had my friends who were all new to the school, and then my band friends, and it was just like relievingly easy to slot in. They made it feel like I was there for all 4 years.
That's really nice. Can you tell me how did you meet Grace? Like how did this mentorship thing going on? Like how did it start, I guess?
So, to my knowledge, at least when I was there, if you were a junior or a senior, you had the option to be a mentor for incoming students. People would sign up for it, and then you'd get assigned one or two. I think some people had multiple. Um, and so Grace was assigned to me. I knew her name before I went to the picnic, but I didn't know anything else about anybody. So it really was just kind of like a completely fresh start. And she, even though she was assigned to me, she made me feel like she wanted to be my mentor. And so
Were there any other friends or staff members at CPFA that I know you talked about Mr. West, were there other people like that were in your life that you're like, this is, CPFA was for me and this is the community that they created for me?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the staff do a great job of trying to make you feel welcome. But in particular, yeah, Mr. West and Mr. Townsend, being in band, they're the ones who I bonded with the most and most quickly. And I'm a little biased. My favorite faculty, so that is that just is what it is. But being in the Jazz Mavericks back then, the jazz band, we did a lot of traveling together. And they did a great job, just like continuing to mentor and teach and making every moment enjoyable. There was never a dull moment with them. So I really I really enjoyed working with them. And then students wise, I had again, my friends in band were the ones that really took off. It was a little bit by accident because we were all kind of sitting next to each other during band practice, and then it just kind of, as the jazz trips went on, we just got closer and closer and closer, and it was they were great. Like, they were one of the things I looked forward to most every Tuesday, Thursday. Every time there was a snow day, I was so upset I didn't get to see them. It's
Oh.
great. And and even the people who I wasn't super close to. I mean, the whole student body is so friendly anyway, so everybody knows everybody. And everybody's just so nice. You could go up and talk to anybody, and you'll have a great conversation. So
Yeah. What instrument did you play? One instrument, or did you play multiple instruments?
so I can play multiple, but while I was at CPFA, I focused mostly on alto saxophone.
Okay.
Uh, a little bit of tenor and soprano when I got the opportunity. But yeah, in the jazz band and our concert band, I was alto sax. We had a unique situation where, all the other jazz bands in the area, these big high schools, are the traditional big band. You got like four of every instrument, a full drum kit, like
Mm-hmm.
the whole kit and caboodle. It's such a big sound, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And then we'd come up and perform, and we're this tiny group of like maybe 7 or 8 people, and it's just like a traditional jazz combo. And so our stuff was a lot less like a lot less layered, and a lot less traditional big band, and a lot more just jazz standards with a couple of preset songs. And the focus was a lot more on us as individuals. So it really gave us an opportunity to hone our improv skills and
Mm-hmm.
perfect our rhythm, make sure we're sticking together, we're in tune, in the same key. Like, it was a little bit more pressure, but the repertoire was great. And being a part of something that small lets you really develop your craft even better, I would say.
You were still doing STEM as you were going to CPFA. Is that correct? So how was that juggling both things at the same time?
Well, it was interesting. So my senior year, I was actually fortunate enough. USP ended up having a space in their AP Physics class that they weren't able to fill, and so they just offered it to me. And they were like, "Hey, we have this space. You'll be able to come in, Monday, Wednesday, every other Friday, just for the class. Like, you'll be able to put it on your record and all that. You won't be a USP student, but you can participate." Um, and so, sticking along with that, and calculus and statistics and all that at the same time as CPFA, at least in my experience, I found it nice to actually have every other day kind of be focused on something different. So kind of compartmentalizing and letting my brain chew on, the analytical side of things, the STEM side of things on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, just taking care of all my schoolwork as hard as I can. And then, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I let that be the time for my creative brain to shine, to, kind of just have fun, with it, and try and enjoy the time there rather than worrying about my schoolwork and grades.
Was there a concentration for to play the sax, or you just like took classes that were in your interest? Like, how was that? How did that work for you?
I would say my concentration was music. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of my classes were either directly or indirectly music related.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that let me kind of hone in on that area, because that's what I'm good at. I can't draw, I can't dance, I have no rhythm, and I'm not really that good of an actor. But being able to like focus on what I am good at, it was extremely confidence building. And again, like I said, like I got to do saxophone for the bands, but in my own time, I did classes like digital music composition, learning how
Mm-hmm.
to produce music from scratch. Piano, again, like relearning kind of basic techniques and stuff like that, for an instrument that I hadn't gotten to touch in a while. Um, so it wasn't just saxophone was my main part
Mm-hmm.
of it, but CPFA let me have multiple facets that I was able to focus on within my area of expertise.
Was there a specific class that you found was your favorite?
I really enjoyed digital music composition. That was a lot of fun. I was in the first level of it, so pretty basic stuff, just kind of learning, how MIDI software works, learning how music production software works, post processing and effects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the assignments were pretty straightforward, but they did allow for a lot of creativity within them, using your
Mm-hmm.
own sound bites. You can make your own synthesizers and stuff inside of it. And then the final assignment was super cool. We were able to just kind of, as long as we made something musical, that was kind of all that mattered. And so me and my friend Mark, we made this awful awful cover of an old rap song from like way in the 2000s. I was able to isolate the backing track, and we like wrote our own lyrics over it, and just we had a great time. We half the time we couldn't even get through it without laughing. It was a lot of fun. And then you get to show that off to the class, and learn from other people's like creations. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, what drew you to STEM, and what do you love about it?
So I knew basically since I was a kid that I wanted to be an engineer. I
Mm-hmm.
was fortunate enough to kind of have that from the get go. I've been obsessed with cars and the automotive industry since I could walk, pretty much. I mean, I've had this same set of Hot Wheels cars ever since I was like 2, and
Yeah.
every car show me and my dad would go to, I'd drag him around like 3 times, looking at every single thing the same over and over again. And I remember when I was 9 at one of those shows, I saw a Corvette on display, and I was just staring at it, basically drooling over it. And I asked, I was like, "What, Dad? What do I do to build this? I want to make this." And he said, "You got to be an engineer, and once you learn mechanical engineering, you'll be able to design things like this and put these together." And so I was like, "Okay, I want to be an engineer." And basically, my whole career path was set forward from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
I love the thought process behind STEM. I like using concrete data and evidence to make decisions. I like the design process of things, especially for engineering, trying to maximize creativity while also staying within a certain set of regulations.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very uniquely nuanced career path that I think if you're numbers minded and you like problem solving, it's pretty much perfect for you.
It sounds like it could be a sort of similar experience to kind of unpacking like music, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with music, you can argue, art is in the eye of the beholder and all that, but in music, there are rights and wrongs. There are sets of regulations and things that you can versus you really can't do if you want your audience to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so being creative within those constraints is a lot like engineering. You're given a set of parameters. In music, it's your time signature, your key, um, particularly with jazz, it's your chord progression.
Yeah.
And in engineering, you're given, a deadline, you're given maybe a product weight, maybe a material you have to use, a certain size. Um, but everything else in it is left up to you and what you can do within those constraints. It's the most fun part of the process. It lets that creative side of you flow out, even though you have to be analytical about it to stay within the constraints, but you can be creative and kind of let yourself have a little bit of fun.
Give me the step by step. So you graduated from CPFA PALCS. What happens after that?
So I got accepted to Rowan University. It's a small public university down in southern New Jersey, for bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And it was pretty much perfect for me. They had an automotive engineering concentration for that degree.
Mm-hmm.
No other college in the East Coast had that. So it was pretty much a no-brainer to go there. As soon as they accepted me, I was in. I was on the Baja team there. We built an off-road race car together as a
Oh.
group, and then you take it to competitions against other colleges.
Mm-hmm.
I was in charge of designing the brakes and the brake mounts, and making sure that system worked so the car could actually stop.
Yeah.
Um, and while I was doing that, I ended up interviewing with Lockheed for an internship. They hire them and Rowan are basically completely interlinked.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan funnels a lot of their students through Lockheed Martin for internships and whatnot. And Lockheed's not that far from Rowan's campus. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the ones selected. I was a systems engineering intern, kind of learning the ropes of basic systems management, radar technology. I worked there for 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
through the summer all the way until Christmas. So I worked through a semester as well. They let me stay on part time, and it was a super cool experience. That was like my first taste of kind of the corporate world, and I really enjoyed it there. I liked the work structure there, the environment and all of that. But I knew I really didn't want to work in defense. That wasn't really where I wanted to end up. And so,
Mm-hmm.
while they were generous enough to offer me a job on graduation, I declined, and I instead started looking out towards, what else is out there, particularly the automotive industry. I applied to a bunch. General Motors got back to me, and after our interview, they offered me a job as a rotational engineer. Um, Only catch was moving to Michigan. So after I graduated from Rowan in 2022, I moved out to Michigan in July of 2022 and started my job that same month. Um, I worked at GM for about 3 years, 2.5 years or so, before I ended up getting caught in a layoff recently. They've been trying to downsize. I took a couple months to kind of just figure out what I wanted to do. Sending out applications, Hyundai got back to me. They're going opposite everybody else in the industry right now. They're hiring like crazy, and they were generous enough to extend me an offer. So I took it, and I've been here for about 2.5 weeks now.
Do you work with cars in your free time? Like, do you have cars that you just work on at home? Like, what's that like for you?
Yeah, so Detroit has one of the coolest things about here is it lives and bleeds car culture.
Yeah.
There's every year there's a giant rolling car show that goes down Woodward Avenue. It's one long highway. And they basically close it down at the end of August, and everybody brings out all their old rides. You'll see things from the 20s all the way up to like modern supercars. It's a super cool experience. I'm a part of a couple car clubs myself. My buddies from General Motors have a car club that they run that I'm a part of. And we also travel a lot together. So there's a driving road down in Tennessee called Tail of the Dragon. It's one of the I think it's like 178 curves and 11 miles. It's very back and forth.
Yeah.
And so we took a trip down there last year, had a blast, and we're gonna do the same thing this year.
Do you have I don't know, I'm so uneducated about cars, but do you have like a specific favorite car? Like all time you're like, I wish I had this.
All time, that's a tough question. I think realistic, if I'm looking at something that I could actually buy, the brand new Corvette Z06 that came out 2 years ago now. I actually worked on those cars back when I was at GM.
Wow.
I fell in love with them, drove them pretty much every single day, and thought to myself, right, when this hits the used market, I'm grabbing one of these if I can.
Yeah.
And unrealistic, Ferrari F12, one of my favorites. As a kid, I loved that one. I think it came out in like 2013, and ever since then, that was the car that I had on my poster in my bedroom. Every car guy has that car that they have.
How's that? How's music and sort of your experience at CPFA? Is that sort of intertwining with what's going on now, or how's that working?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough in my freshman year at Rowan, I got into their jazz band. I was the only non-music major to get in that year. I played alto. I was alto too, and I got to meet Denny de Blasio. He was the band director there, and like a childhood hero of mine. He was the baritone sax player for Maynard Ferguson's band back in the 80s. Jazz legend, and so it was super cool to get like taught directly by him. Throughout the rest of college, I did have to turn it down because the rehearsal time was at the exact same time as my project time when I was working on the Baja car. But their practice rooms were open to everybody. And I had a lot of friends in the music program as well. And so I kept playing, practicing mostly on my own, but occasionally I would play at events with some of the people from the band. Whenever they did small group stuff, I would get invited. So I really would like to be a part of maybe a wedding band or something casual like that someday, just so that way I have, I can continue to do that because it is one of my favorite pastimes.
A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
It's fact.
Is that fact?
It's fact.
No, it's a flock, isn't it? They're just birds.
Yeah, that's what I thought. A single strand of spaghetti is called a spaghetto. Fact or fiction?
The Italian in me is going to be very upset if I'm wrong. I'm going to say fact.
It is fact. You are correct.
Good. Okay, good.
A jiffy is a unit of time. Fact or fiction?
I know it's an expression, so I'm going to say fiction.
It is, in fact, a fact, actually.
Wow. How much is a jiffy?
I don't know, but that is hilarious. It is a unit of time of sorts. Humans can't breathe and swallow at the same time. Fact or fiction?
I wish I had a glass of water to test this.
Yeah, I was like, I tried that right now.
I'm going to say fiction. That sounds like something you could do.
They can't breathe and swallow at the same time. Apparently that is a fact. That they cannot, that we cannot do that. Okay, this one. Horses can't vomit, fact or fiction?
Oh, that's fiction. Horses can definitely vomit, right?
I know that these are worded weird, but it's a fact, apparently, that they can't vomit. Apparently,
Really?
horses cannot vomit. I gotta fact check these, but I think that this is
what
correct.
do they do instead? Yeah,
Yeah, like, do they just choke? Like, what is happening right now? The tongue is the strongest muscle in the human body. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Fiction? Yep,
Yeah.
it's not the strongest. It's not the strongest. I was hitting you with the science question. We were trying to see if it works. A sneeze travels about 100 miles per hour. Fact or fiction?
That's fact. It's true, right?
It says it's around 100 miles per hour. So apparently that statement itself is fiction, but it's around 100. So honestly, is it even right or wrong? So
Yeah, it's average 100 miles an hour.
average, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's technically true.
I'm sure if you scrunch your nose enough, you can get it to go fast.
Yeah.
CPFA, if you're in and want to do a career in STEM, but you also happen to be a part of CPFA, look at CPFA as just kind of like your hobby. Look at it as something that you can do to pass the time, something that you can do to take your mind off of, the stressful part of school. Engaging in the creative arts it's something fun. It's something your brain likes to do. If you enjoy it, let it be that. I basically treated CPFA days like weekends in a way. It was a day that I could disconnect and just kind of relax, be with my friends, and enjoy embracing a side of me that I didn't usually get to embrace. So don't let it become a task that you have to complete. Enjoy CPFA and look at it as something that lets your brain kind of relax for a little while and be itself. And then you can come back to your analytical side of things the next day.